Okay, so it is April 2021. This is my updated scheduling how-to video. I am in the process of preparing to return to Morocco at some point after Ramadan this year for a few months. Because of this, and because of the fact that I am at the end of the year with homeschooling my son and his exams, my own fashion design school and exams, I am only available on a part-time basis. I am not available 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And so, what I'm saying to everybody is the likelihood that you will get me at the last minute, ever available last minute without very much notice, is very, very slim. There is a lot of preparation on my side to be available to get the studio space prepared. The COVID restrictions, I'm spacing apart when I see people. In terms of arranging childcare, transportation, supplies, all of the stuff that goes into actually doing this, it requires some sort of notice. I know that there's a lot of people out there, maybe they sleep at their massage table all day, they're doing not much, but anybody generally good in their field probably has some regulars and they see people on a regular basis. And so I try to say to people, as much as I know that people assume, all people are the same, we are different in that my life is such that I'm not able to always be available on the fly without very much notice. A good time to try, if it's going to be same day, would probably be in the early mornings just to peek in and see, but here's my two ways of scheduling. My preferred method is to have my energy prepared for our time together with advance notice and deposit held time. Why do I charge a deposit? Well, it costs hundreds of dollars to set up childcare, studio space, transportation. I have a special needs son, my own transportation, supplies, things like this. Healthcare costs. I think about healthcare. Many people don't. And so generally I feel that I have just learned in 16 years there's a lot of flakiness, a lot of crazy people that, talk and talk and talk and they don't really have any intentions of actually scheduling, or people that just don't act serious, or they think, oh, I'll make an appointment at 2 o'clock, but really they don't even show up until 3:30 and expect the full time. I am not in a business to sort of waste my time or waste my money, especially after the pandemic. I just don't feel like dropping hundreds and hundreds of dollars without really knowing if somebody's going to show up. I think it's only fair that if people want to have a studio space and, private time set aside, that they would contribute to the upfront cost involved. I'm a single mother, just can't throw money down and be like, well, I hope that person shows up on a hope and a prayer. So I just want to put that out there that generally serious people will act serious and they understand what kind of goes into meeting up. And I'm asking for a deposit towards the time and space that I have to put up these fees anyhow. The second is if you're going to be a walk-in, because I know that not every single person has the ability to put something down, the best that I can say, to me, the meaning of a walk-in is you're at Fair Oaks Mall here in Fairfax, Virginia. You send over the screening proof information, which is a LinkedIn profile, a work proof, ID, something that really shows me who you are. I just don't go off of a name and that's it. I'm sorry, it's 2021. You make that process really easy and fast where that information is right there. And if I'm free right then and there, I will send you my studio 2 minutes away. That's my idea of a walk-in. A walk-in is somebody who's right there and it's not wasting my time. And if I happen to be free to do the appointment, I'd be happy to meet. But if you want me to set aside time in advance, like hours ahead, and you want a guaranteed time, the only way that I really set up that my life in such a way is for people that have respected my time and knowledge and putting in the expenses up front to actually contribute to that cost to meeting. If we don't start off with a mutual respect and understanding that, I don't see much of a point of even meeting. Now, you may say, well, how do I trust that you're not going to run off with my deposit? Well, because I've been here for 16 years, I'm still in business, and I use my real name in my website and my bios everywhere. I think that people who are serious people are, not maintaining a business for as long as they have if they're just going around scamming people. And it seems to be okay for others to assume that I should put all this money up front, but not necessarily expect that somebody would not be wasting my time. And after the pandemic, once again, I'm just not in a position to, on a hope and a prayer, hope that someone's going to show up when they say they do and put out all this money up front. That brings me to the fact that the best way to do this, if you have looked at my website, you see the sessions page, you pick which session you're looking for, how long, and send that completed information. Why do people ask for information? Well, they want to make sure they're seeing the right person. I don't want to throw away my nearly 20 years of experience in licensing for somebody that wasn't worth that. So I think it's just a mutual introduction to making sure we're a good fit for each other. It was pretty standard, 16 years ago when I started out, pretty standard that people would ask for this information. I don't know where it stopped, but I generally think that most people are going to want to know who they're meeting with. The only people I know that don't really ask those kinds of questions are, generally STD-ridden people, drug addicts, cops, unsavory types, maybe waiting to rob you in the parking lot. I mean, generally, I think it's been pretty well known and documented that if somebody makes it a little too easy for you to meet with them, you should probably be suspicious. I think normal people act normal, and they ask certain questions to make sure that they're seeing the right person. That's just my personal opinion. I'm licensed as a sex therapist, massage therapist, tantra therapist, energy master, holistic therapist for almost 20 years. My specialties are tantra, but I also help people with sexual dysfunction, PE issues, sexual trauma, sexual addiction. You don't have to have those problems to come and see me and benefit from my sessions, but I deal with a lot of that, and I have an extensive background in Chinese and Indian practices and holistic therapies and trainings that I haven't even listed here, to help diagnose and help strengthen that. Because it doesn't matter which tantric positions or Kama Sutra poses we would go in, if you're not with a full body chi and health and vitality, you're probably not going to get the same results sexually as you would if you were tending to these other areas energetically. Now, the differences in my sessions, I'm here for just a few more weeks, and because of this, I really have to say, I'm going to preference seeing those people who generally do my standard 2 to 3 hour sessions. It's really, really hard, folks, to do all of these different things in just an hour. I have an hour listed, ideally, for people I've seen before several times who kind of can jump in and know what to do, but if you choose to do the hour as a first-timer to me, please understand that's about half of what I typically get through with people the first time I meet with them. There's a lot of different things we go through and go on, and I can't guarantee that I can extend the time. I'm just being upfront that I've offered as an option. It's called an intro for that very purpose, to give you an intro to this, but please don't expect my 1 hour session to feel the same way as my 2 or 3 hour sessions. Even if you did a 90-minute session, it just gives us that much more time. In terms of the bodywork side of things, I know I'm very good at that. I know in terms of the sexual practices and practicing it, I'm good at that too. I mean, it's hard to really do a lot of this in just an hour or less. So be realistic that depending on the session you choose, it may determine how much you're going to get out of the session. It's not the same thing happens in 1 hour sessions as what happens in 3 hour sessions. No, a lot more happens in the 2 to 3 hour sessions because we have more time to put it into practice and get familiar with what it is you're going to be doing in the first place. These are fairly new practices for most people. And if you're not sure what these practices are, I've included links here below. What is tantric massage? What is Kama Sutra? What is sexual kung fu? All of these things are kind of blended into based on people's comfort levels and what people may be working on. Some people come with some pre-existing stuff going on. And I don't have any expectations that every two, people are the same, but that we just kind of organically go into it together. It's obviously going to be enjoyable, but I just say to people to be realistic based on the time frame, okay? I have put my pricing to now be inclusive of tipping. This was something that wasn't seemingly clear to people, that in a massage or service-based industry, we rely heavily on tips to offset the costs that we're putting out up front to even make any of this possible as an independent contractor. And so, I had to kind of update that it's 2021, and, as a licensed sex therapist, I generally can make $200 an hour just talking to people, especially during the pandemic. I could have done it from home. I don't have to put expenses out. So, there is a difference between somebody who is licensed in massage therapy for as many years as I have been, or sex therapy or energy work, versus a girl who's trafficked or working for a gang, or somebody who's, not really licensed in anything. So there's a difference in professional licensed people. We also offer a level of confidentiality and privacy and security, which a lot of people appreciate with me. But obviously, to each their own. What I do is sensual and all of that, but there is a professional person here versus somebody who's just off the street, not really doing much, but the bend over thing, I guess. So I just want to make that clear, that obviously you can see from my website, I put a lot of thoughts behind it and passion, and I'm into these arts. But please come with an understanding or respect that you're seeing somebody who is legitimately the real deal in these arts, and has a thing for these arts. If you're not really interested in any of it, I don't know if we would be a good fit. I'm really into spinning lingams. And if you don't know what that is, that's the first lesson you're going to have. What is a spinning lingam? A lingam is a penis, and yes, your penis is meant to spin, and there's a purpose behind it. So there's a lot of fun, interesting things to these arts, and I just encourage you, if you have the time to go through it, go through the website. I only really respond to the texts that show me they've actually gone to the website. There is so many texts and spammers and bots and people trying to talk to somebody and they're lonely. And I have had a hard time because I don't use a secretary to take all the calls. Into managing my phone where I'm just dealing with people who are ready at that moment to schedule. What I mean is, don't send me your screening information if you're not intending to actually set up an appointment with the deposit at that time. Send it when you're ready and do it all at one time and have it be concise, because going back and forth and explaining that process for 45 minutes with somebody is taking up time, away from me doing things like homeschooling my son or my own studies or even being with my clients. And so I've really struggled for the last year to have people understand it's as simple as, for time management, text over the information I've asked for, send it to me when you're ready. Method you want to use for deposit, we hold the time, great, I give you my handle. Next thing is, you're written down in my book, you confirm the morning of. If you have to change the time, you have to give me at least 24 hours notice or more, because I prepay everything, childcare and space and all of that, to reuse your deposit for another date and time. If you don't give me the notice or you want to change it the same day, I may not be able to really do that. I try to work with people, but obviously if I'm putting out money and you cancel at the last minute, it's actually a loss to me. And so I've really just had to stick to this. I know that people may feel like their lives, it's hard for them to commit, to know their schedule, to know their time. I get it, but so it is for me with, 2 full-time jobs, if you include homeschooling your child and your own personal work. As people will see on my website, I'm a fashion designer and a school program for that. So I have an online store. I do a lot too. I get it. Everybody's busy. But if you want to have a good experience with somebody, you will respect their time. You will understand that, there's time and money that goes into meeting people. And we just all want to have a good time and not have losses and confusion and disrespect and all of that. That's all I ask, really. For my videos, which is something I've had for nearly 2 years, this was a personal project that just came out of expressing my sexual energy as a woman, and viewpoint may be different than out there. They're sexy, they're fun, they're playmate worthy. I've had nothing but positive responses. But please note, they're amateur-like. I'm not filming this in a professional studio. I'm not a porn actress. I'm just showing people my own personal viewpoints of it. It is predominantly mostly solo scenes, but I have 10 to 15 scenes that are co-ed that generally come with the largest packages. That's obviously a selling point for the larger packages. I'm just letting you know I don't separate the packages, but I have up from 10, 20, 30, 50, however you want to do it, and you just can prepay with Apple Pay, Zelle, or Cash App, or even a Walmart MoneyGram if you wanted and you wanted to wait for the time. There's ways of doing it, and I just send it all through WhatsApp. I have been working on possibly paying somebody to go ahead and set up a website where you can just download them automatically. It's just a little time consuming. There's about 150 videos currently. But if you're interested in them, however many, just specify, text me which method, I'll give you my handle, and I send them when I'm not in sessions or busy. And it's pretty straightforward. I'm currently only in Fairfax, Virginia. I have no plans to travel. It's just too unpredictable putting out a bunch of money and not really sure if you're going to get it back during these times. Sorry, I wish I like to travel. Believe me, I love it. But at this point, it just doesn't financially make any sense with all that would be involved on my side. Please try to come and see me before the end of May, because likely I'll be gone all summer. And my plans for the future is generally coming back for fashion shows that I sell items and maybe see a few regulars, but I'm not so sure that I'll be opening up to seeing new people in the future. So you want to kind of get in and see me now, because there might come a point where I just might put, people I've seen before who've expressed an interest in keeping in touch, that I might just give a feeler and say I'm in town these dates. But, I'm not going to necessarily ever be available as fully as I have been currently. And so please come and see me while you can. Try to give that notice, because as the end of May approaches and I'm packing, I'm most likely going to have less and less time available. So I'm really encouraging people, whenever you can, don't assume that I'm available the very next day. I do plan my life out a little bit when I'm available, and I do have some flexibility with the hours and dates, but I just ask for that notice to accommodate. And I hope that you're all staying safe and keeping well, and take care. Namaste.